Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on Influencing on Camera, our podcast. I have my good friend here, Richard Rieman, and he is here to teach us a little bit about audio. Hey, Richard, how's it going?
Hi, Jade. It's going really well.
I'm so excited to have you here today because you do a lot of nonprofit work, and your current one is Imagination Video Books. Tell us a little bit about that if people don't know what a video book is.
Okay. Well, I come out of a background of both radio news, telling stories in front of a microphone for many years, and then audiobook narration. And what I discovered was there's a gap in the audiobook world. Picture books. Picture books don't make good audiobooks.
No, they don't.
And yet there are some wonderful books out there. So I thought, how can I fill that gap? And I'm doing two things. I'm creating what I call video books, which are simply videos of the actual picture books with narration, music, sound effects, a complete experience for kids to watch. And the focus for those video books is really stories about kindness and empowerment, anti-bullying, messages that kids should have. So that's one focus of my nonprofit. And the other new project that I'm really excited about is called Imagination Storybooks. Now, this is filling a gap for blind preschool children who would never get the experience of seeing the pictures in these books. And, of course, pictures add so much. So what I do is I add a co-narrator who does the audio description part.
Aww.
And they are able to richly describe, each image. Audio description is a big thing right now in the audio world for movies and TV shows. But this is something a little different because we have the benefit of time. We can make the descriptions longer and don't have to fit them in between dialogue. Right. So it's a fun project. I have many narrators who have volunteered to do this, including 3 blind narrators.
Wow.
And one I spoke to this week, she was in tears because she said she wished that she had this growing up. It would have made a difference in her life to be able to, actually fully experience some of these classic children's picture books.
Well, happy holidays, everyone. So if you can't tell by listening, Richard's got this amazing voice. And the first time I met him, he was actually doing some speaking. And when he came onto stage, he did this great collaboration of all these voices he could do. Richard, could you give us just a little taste, a tiny taste?
Oh, sure. That's the great thing about the audiobook world is it's a one-person performance. So you can do all the different voices that are needed and become these characters. I can be a cowboy in a ghost story. Nell, great to see you. It's been 10 years now since you died? You're looking pretty good for being dead. And, the wizard voice is the one that I'm always requested. Stole it right from Harry Potter. The scene in Ollivander's wand shop. Harry, so good to see you, Harry. I gave your parents their wands. And the variations on that voice help me with narrating children's stories. Once upon a time, there was a fairy who had but one tooth. And this is the story of how she became the Tooth Fairy. So all of those things, it's a lot of fun, doing accents. And my record is 35 different voices in one book. That was tough. That was tough. It was all guys in a submarine, and the only descriptions I got usually were he said gruffly. Okay, how many gruff voices can you do? Mm-hmm. So, Kelly became suddenly had an Irish accent, and then And then there was a German guy who spoke with a German accent for some reason, and then a Russian guy who was down here who spoke with a Russian accent. So just to get the whole cast of characters.
That's amazing. That's really amazing to hear. Those of you that are watching this podcast, you can see all of his facial animations along with it. It's just such a treat to hear these. I remember at one of Gary's events, everyone's like, can we get you to like record some kind of like sleep noises for us so we can all go to sleep? Because when you talk to Richard, he's just got this awesome sound quality to his voice as well as his presence. It's just a lot of fun to be around him. So
it is funny you say that, because I remember being asked by one woman in one of the audiences, would you mind coming over and reading me some bedtime stories?
Yep.
I think I said, I think I'll check with your husband on that. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the power of voice. We talked a little bit about the nonprofit and what that's bringing to other people. Mm-hmm. But for the business owners out there, what can their voices really bring forth to help their business be seen, remembered, and have an impact?
Well, it's really critical that you sound really good when you are doing any type of video presentation, audio presentation. It doesn't mean that you have to sound like a professional narrator. It simply means that if you have a crappy mic or a terrible sound setup, that you will lose people, and they won't even realize why consciously, but it just takes away from your professionalism if you don't sound good during these presentations. And it's not that hard to do. This microphone that I'm speaking into is called the Audio-Technica AT2020 Plus USB.
I'll put that in the description, don't worry.
Yes. So AT2020 Plus USB microphone. USB means that you can plug it right into your laptop, yep. Windows, or your iPad, and it's kind of one of the secrets of audiobook narrators, that you can get this quality from a $150 microphone. Yep. So really, make the investment in a decent microphone. I mean, you don't have to get one of these babies.
No, you don't.
This is Shure SM7B, one of the classics. If you watch like a lot of the TV shows, yes. The announcers use this one, yes. And but you obviously need a mixer to power it, and you actually, with this microphone, you need a levelator, an extra little boost piece of hardware to make it sound good through your computer. So you really, USB microphones, the kinds that you just plug into the side of your laptop, have been improving and are really good to use. There's also microphone technique that you have to be pay critical attention to, because, the ideal thing, you need to be away from the microphone about that far, roughly 6 inches. But
Yeti right here.
If you do the popping of the peas, when you get too close to it and start, sounding distorted, and no, you need to get, just the right distance away. And I'm not talking directly into the microphone, actually. I'm talking over it, but you can also talk under it. A lot of people will have booms, microphone booms, and hang the microphone from it. But you will see in a lot of professional recordings that the microphone is usually above the voice. That way, it really does avoid those plosives and the pop P's. Microphone technique is simply how to talk to someone too. there is a big difference between talking to everybody out there. Hi, everybody. I'm really glad that you're joining me today. And talking to the one person who's actually listening to you. Hi, good to be with you today. I mean, it's just a mindset. Think in your head of one person that you're speaking with, and talk to that person, and you will come across much better on mic.
So obviously, when you did your first recording, it probably wasn't perfect. Can you share a little bit of a story with us about how your first ever recording went?
First ever recordings. I actually started early. I had a Mr. Microphone machine, which was, recording on cassettes, because I'm that old. And I wouldn't sing. I would actually tell stories. I was, really a ham. So I would record myself and play it back and, see how it sounded. And it was very exciting. I also, as a side gig, wrote stories that included my classmates' names in them. And then I charged them a nickel to read it, so I would have comic book money. So I was an early entrepreneur, and I was on the high school speech team, where they did a radio speaking competition. And so I basically, would compete against other high schools.
Wow.
And, came in second in the state in Illinois.
Wow. Congratulations.
And the guy who came in first later showed up. I was news director of WMAQ radio. He showed up looking for a job. And I didn't say anything. He didn't recognize me. I recognized him. One of these great deep voices, And I didn't hire him. So, that's that's karma, what could you say, He wasn't that good anyway. He had a great voice, but, it was like the total announcer thing. You wonder, when you hear announcers like that on the radio and on TV, do they go home at night and go, "Hello, dear. How has your day been? Mine was great." It's like the phony delivery. Yeah. Going back to how I'm saying that, just talk to somebody. It drives me crazy when I watch TV personalities, TV news people who are shouting at me. Yes. There's no reason to. I can hear you. I can hear you fine. My TV has pretty good speakers and everything. Yeah. You don't have to scream at me that it's going to be sunny tomorrow. It's like, okay. Okay, I get it.
Well, these have been some really great tips. I always like to ask kind of how that happened for some people, because that's really cool. So how can some of these basic tips really improve people's videos, in your opinion, of course?
Yeah, well, it's the things that I spoke about, just having a good microphone. And what that means is one that picks up some richness in your voice. And if you go to, you can try some microphones, usually at music stores, to see if they fit your voice, because every voice is different. My range is different than yours, and the same microphone might not be best for both of us. This is, a pretty much general microphone here, but I have a booth downstairs in my home, a whisper room booth where I record, and that has a professional microphone and everything in there. But you don't have to worry about, having an expensive setup.
Right.
You just need to, lavalier mics can work. They're a bit more expensive, and not all of them will work with laptops, but you see a lot of those, the ones that clip on. And headset microphones you have to be really careful about.
Right.
Most headset microphones for computers don't have good sound quality. There's a thinness to it, and you also can pop peas more, and just, it's just not a good microphone for most recordings. A routine Zoom session, no problem at all.
Right.
But if you really want to sound good, I'd say that get the right equipment, record in an environment where your dog is not barking in the background,
right?
Where, that you're not bouncing your voice off a wall that's right in front of you and getting a little echo effect. In a large room, basically it will sound like you're talking in a large room and have that reverberation to it. Think in terms of recording with something behind you, like even this green screen I have behind me. That's picking up the sound as it bounces. So it helps. Put a blanket behind you.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Books are great. They absorb sound like crazy. So if you're doing a recording in front of a bookshelf, you'll find that it sounds really good. So I'd say those are the main tips. Is just get a decent microphone. You might want to use headphones when you are recording. Yes, because you can hear when you're popping your peas and when things are not as smooth. Like I said, most people won't consciously pick up that it's really bad audio as long as they can hear you and it's not crackling all over the place with a bad connection. But it does make a difference with your message. You will get your message across much stronger, much clearer if they forget about things like the quality of your sound. If it's just natural and it becomes just like video, there are no distractions, so that makes it easier to communicate your message.
I love that. That was such a great example. And I will say, coming from a gamer background, I do have the headset with the microphone, but that's really for things like TeamSpeak and over the internet kind of communication. We just need to hear each other like on time. It doesn't have to be really great sound as long as it's coming through at the same time, because it could mean, the difference between a successful mission and us all, dying or whatever in the game. So a lot of people will use those and then not the right choice. And a thing that I see a lot is people use earbuds or the kind that hang, and you'll hear the rustling across their shirt because they're hanging, or on the earbuds themselves. They're really not that great of a quality. Even though I'm wearing some, I actually have, I'm going to pick it up in case you hear it. I have a Yeti mic that's plugged into my laptop, so I can hear myself here. And I don't have the feedback loop with the speakers coming out of the laptop, because that happens a lot too.
Yes.
People don't know about that. And it drives me absolutely crazy, because I'm sure, just like Richard, I have really sharp hearing. I hear like a fox. So that drives me crazy in meetings. So I really appreciate you taking the time. It's great to hear it from another source, somebody that specializes in audio quality, to reinforce those things. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about you more, Richard, because you're a lot of fun. How do you think, if you had access to videography when you first started your career, even your career at selling stories for a nickel each, how do you think video could have really improved your business?
Well, at that time, of course, it was more, your 8mm cameras than anything else. Yeah. I was thinking in terms of video. In fact, at one point thought about going into video production myself in college, because where I went, Southern Illinois University in Carbondale had a great audio video program, and they got equipment donated from St. Louis radio and TV stations.
Cool.
So they had very professional equipment, and I got out there on TV for a while as a TV reporter for Channel 8, and I thought about doing the video part of the world, but I'm a naturally introverted person. Believe it or not, the performing helps me get out of that. And like most people, I don't like myself on camera. So I ended up, going the radio route, because when I covered the anti-war riots that broke out in the 70s at SIU, wow. Early 70s, I was there as a Channel 8 news reporter, out there in the streets. I got caught once between the police and the crowd as they both moved toward each other, and I was in the middle. So I got out of there quickly. I've been tear gassed many times. But I called WLS Radio in Chicago because I knew they had a news staff. And I said, look, I'm inside the ROTC building. They're trying to burn it down. Would you like anything on this? It's like, we're rolling, kid. And I said, and that's the sound of a rock going through the window on my left. That's the sound of a rock going through a window on my right. There's one window left. I'm standing in front of it. I'll have to call you back. And that was my classic recording, and the one that got me hired at WLS Radio right out of college. So, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That is an amazing story. Like, that's heartbreaking in a way that it took that, level of violence and that you were exposed to that. But I mean, what an origin story. I thought like Spider-Man had a cool origin story, but this one's up there. This is pretty good. So what's the best compliment you've ever received in your entire life?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that I have a very kind voice. I was supposed to be the priest in the family, the next priest in the family. My uncle was a Catholic priest, Father Richard Rieman, so I was named after him. And they thought I would become the priest. And, I seemed to have the voice that would fit that. And but I got kicked out of the altar boys in 5th grade. But a kid spit a host out in front of me. I laughed, It's like, what can you do? But the nun in the front row didn't like that. And I was kicked out of the altar boys. But the
to laugh so you could finish your story.
It was my fault because I had told my brother, it was his first communion, and he had told this kid that if you bite down on the host, it bleeds in your mouth. So the kid was terrified and spit out the host.
My God.
I'm sorry. I tell a lot of stories.
No, but stories are great.
So, yes, that's the greatest compliment, and that I come across as a kind and caring person. And what I realize is I come across that way even better if I shut up and actually listen to other people and not spend all the time, listening to my own voice. Oh, don't I sound good? Yeah, no, and one of the great things about doing audiobooks is that, as I get older, and someday I'm, going to sound like an older guy, but when I am that older guy, I'll still be able to do this voice, hopefully. And so you won't be able to tell the difference when I'm, whether I'm 60, 70, 80, or 90. So that's my goal.
So that's, I guess, the benefit of not being on camera.
Yes, exactly.
People never know how old you are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So You've had some really great things to share with us, and I really appreciate your time today. I know you're doing a lot of work outside of yourself. Um, so it's not surprising to me at all that people call you a kind person, because you truly are. You're raising money for this imagination project with the video books and the audiobooks.
Hmm.
So for people that want to help you out this holiday season, there's a lot of people that of course are not in a position to, and I'm sure they can contact you for various volunteer options. But for people that might have a way to help you out, or trying to get that end of year taxes for nonprofits caught up, you are an actual nonprofit, correct?
That is correct. 501c3 in Colorado, and we are raising money. It costs $200 to $300 to produce an audio book, and about $600 to produce a video book. So the donations go directly to the creation of these wonderful audiobooks. I use professional audio description people to write the descriptions because they have to make sense to a blind person.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a cost in that and editing, and but most of the narrators are volunteers, so that has worked
That's
out
so
well.
cool.
But people can go to imaginationvideobooks.org. So, imaginationvideobooks, plural.org. And you'll find information, you'll find examples of the videos and audiobooks with description, and also get a chance to donate. And anyone who donates $25 or more becomes a sponsor of one of these books, where their name is mentioned, just like on PBS. This audiobook has been brought to you, through the contribution of, and both in the audio and in the written description of the audiobooks. So it's an opportunity for you to become part of the family of people who are creating audiobooks that really mean something to a preschool blind child who doesn't get exposed to these books unless their parent has the means and to go in and buy this book or get it from the library and read it to them. And my goal with Imagination Storybooks is to make sure these books are available free to everyone. And we're building a children's YouTube channel right now.
Oh.
And we are also going to have it listed on some of the blind description sites that are out there that mention where you can find TV shows and movies.
Mm-hmm.
They're also going to mention where you can find books, picture books with audio description. So that is how we're going to bring the message. And we've got about 20 books in production and hope to have 200 done by the end of next year.
That's amazing. Well, I would like to actually help you and your patrons out. Anyone that donates to Richard's Imagination program, $50 or more, will receive one of our audio classes that we have available online. So if you have the opportunity to donate between now and the 31st of December, you'll receive a complimentary copy of our online class on how to do audio like a professional. So
sounds great.
Richard, thank you so much for your time today. I'm really excited to be a part of this. And if there's anything else that you want to share with the group before we wrap things up?
Oh, I just want to say thank you so much, Jade, for the opportunity.
Oh.
And thank you for all you do with video and audio, and you help so many people. Especially at live presentations, that I think what you do is also a great contribution. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Richard. It's been amazing to work with your nonprofit in all the little ways that I have. And I'm looking forward to helping you raise more money for your 2021 goals of 200 books. So
Yes.
Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. And this is Influencing on Camera, the podcast.